Alright, welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. This is going to be a pretty quick video, but I figured I'd film it because it's a little interesting. And maybe a bonus video if I'm real busy one week like I've already been this week. So I'm heading over to AutoZone to pick up a part. I did a diagnosis yesterday, pretty solid diagnosis, on a friend's van. They live in Georgia and they're out here. He actually is a professor at a university, so whenever summer comes around, he has a 3-month break, and they usually end up out here for a couple months in the summer. They're going to be out here till August, actually, and right now it's the very beginning of July. So on their way out here this time, and last year I worked on their car because they hit a deer right when they left their home, and luckily all they did was bust their AC condenser, so I just replaced that when they got out here for them, and then I had them recover and recharge it at a shop because I don't really do AC recovery and recharges. Anyway, so they had a code come up in Ohio, I believe, and then they cleared it just to see if it would come back, and it did, and it's for a knock sensor. So I went up there yesterday and figured it out. I'll tell you how I did that when we get up there. I'm gonna go ahead now and just pick up that part. All right, there's the hub van. I've been waiting here for like 20 minutes because I beat it this morning, so that should be my parts in there. Actually, they're building a new hub like 5 miles down the block or down the road, so that's gonna be super nice when that opens up. Stuff will be here, and you know, right after hub delivery starts, or if I need it, I can just go right down the street and grab it if I need it faster. So that's cool. Anyways, they're here. I'll wait for them to unload, and I've got a battery charging in there for another no start with a dead battery. So yeah, I'll go in there in a few minutes and grab my sensor, and we'll head up there and put it on. It should be a quick job. All right, got that genuine parts. That's funny. I think this one has a good warranty. I'm not sure, but it was $1 less than the Duralast one, so I was like, yeah, I'll get the AC Delco. That's funny though, because it's not marked AC Delco, it's marked GM Genuine, so that's nice. It was $1 less and genuine. So get out of here quickly. All right, so in theory all we need is a wrench. It's a 1/2 inch. I am just bringing a little flathead bit and my screwdriver bit driver there in case the connectors were hard to undo. That way I don't have to scoot back out of here. So yeah, that's it. We got our OE part there, and there's our sensor. You don't want to drop sensors and stuff like this. That can do them in. Okay. Yeah, basically whatever wrench you prefer. Like I said, there's 2. This is the one with the code in. I ended up testing a few things and determined that it was this. So I'll explain here in just a moment. See if we can get this heat sheath off of there without cracking the plastic. Maybe could have used a glove. Here's a look at it. Right there. So I don't even have a light, but basically on the other side it's easier to put a socket on there. On this side you've got those transmission lines going up to the cooler, and that yeah, the little wrench helps get underneath there better. So I'll go ahead and undo the socket first, connector, and then we'll pop that out of there. Let's see how this one comes. That 10 plastics probably scoots out. Hi, room. Yeah. Do you ever notice drips of oil underneath the van after it's been sitting? No. Okay, you just have a little bit of transmission fluid dripping out of a sensor here on the transmission. So I was kind of just mostly wondering how much was leaking. Okay. It's nice getting an OE part with a bolt on it because I know what size this bolt's going to be since it's an OE part. That's the thing, that the Duralast one may not have come with a bolt. It just depends on if it's removable from the sensor, but always nice to get little bonuses like that. Oh, that's the oil cooler anyways. That's not transmission. I thought it went up to the transmission. Make sure we've got just enough room to clear this. Looks like maybe not. Of course it's a little complicated, but these aluminum lines should be just easy enough to scoot out of the way here. maybe not. Let's see, do it the shade tree way first. How much space can we get? A little bit more, maybe just enough. Come on. Yeah, I think it's just enough. Yeah, there you go. Probably says in the manual you should remove those lines, but obviously without bending them, well, technically we're bending them, but we're not deforming them. That side's just out of the way, so that's nice. The other side's not quite as hard to get to, like I mentioned. Here's the new sensor. So how did I determine it was the sensor? I just used some live data. A few things can cause the knock sensor to go off. First is an actual knock, so you want to listen to it through its range of cold start, running while it's warm, and make sure that it's not actually knocking. It can knock for a few reasons, overheating being one of them, fuel pressure issues, so like low fuel pressure can cause detonation. And so what I did was utilize live data and freeze frame information to look at fuel trims and O2 sensors to determine, and the data from the cooling temperature sensor, it wasn't overheating. I asked them, it hasn't overheated, it hasn't had issues with overheating, so I was certain it wasn't that. I watched it warm up, let it sit here, and it was 100 degrees yesterday, so definitely wasn't overheating from any of my information I could see. Then I was like, okay, we will look at some fuel stuff. So we looked at fuel trims from the freeze frame data. The short-term trims were at 0, so they weren't adjusting for any sort of lean condition. O2 sensors weren't reading the lean condition, and then live data suggested that as well as it cold started and warmed up. So no interesting, weird anything. You can see this going back on. It's all there is to this job. We'll put its sheath back on, but yeah, so basically the fuel was fine. We didn't have the reason I used fuel trims so much to determine in the O2 sensors if there was a lean condition was because we don't have fuel pressure sensor on this vehicle. So I just used those to help me determine that fuel pressure was just fine. They weren't adjusting for a lean condition or anything. O2 sensors were reading exactly where they should have been. So that's how that got determined. And I wonder if that wire's ever going to rubber all right there. That's crusty enough not to do anything. Their other concern is when it's cold in the mornings, it shifts at a lot higher of an RPM. Some vehicles have a built-in cold start, higher idle to help them warm up quicker. So I think that may be the case. Yeah, that's a job well done. We're already done here.